Alright. Okay. So, I remember this was called. This was 100% called. And all of us are like, just like not caring and walking out anyways. Realistically, this should just be your like Sigma throwing a shield at this and problem solved. So I don't really blame you for this, but at the same time, like if the Sigma isn't throwing a shield at it, you should also know better than to walk out like this. Just like chill, wait for your Sigma to throw a shield, or for somebody to do something about the Widow before you walk out. Or at least try to make it hard for her. You kind of just like, oh, I'm gonna jump now. I know you probably didn't see her, but like this was called. People were saying it, so.
Learning from that one. Mobility increased.
Nice stickies. Alright, we know Lidl's location, so we're just gonna chill here. We're gonna take a flank later in the fight. Alright. Alright. Go for stickies on the Widow potentially. Ooh. Alright, so be careful fully regrouping with your team like this. Generally speaking, you want to maintain the free off angle they're giving you by like if your team goes this way, right, and they're looking this way, this is an off angle, right? So, and you have 2 megas to sustain yourself as long as you don't get like your head taken off by the Widow. So this is actually not a bad spot to be. It's a little far away, right? But it's not that bad. Alternatively, if you are going to go this way, hang on, I just got a DM. That's not on yours. Alright. Alternatively, what you can do is you can just like come up through here, right? And then go up through the window, right? And then now you're another off angle. You're a bit harder to support here, but you do have a Mega on your left, underneath you, right? And then like you're much closer to the Widow, and you're much more of a threat to dive bomber, right? So this is not that bad as well. I don't really mind this. I just think that like you missed a couple chances to like try and go for stickies in the Widow from here. But overall, this is not too bad.
Adjusting angle of attack.
Oh, this also isn't that bad. This is something I didn't think about, but this is also technically an off angle. It's not the best off angle. I'd rather you be main actually for this, and just like fly up, like time it for when the Widow is occupied with something. Either someone calls that she's doing something, right, or they call that like, or you hear shooting, right. Then you can pop up and go for like a play on like the Hunter or the Widow or like something else you want, right. But this also isn't that bad, and you can still get supported from your team, right. So I don't really mind this. Plus, it's safe from the Widow, so this is actually pretty creative. Or not necessarily creative, but like something I didn't think about at least. I don't want to make it seem like anything I don't think about is creative, but you get the idea. Alright, now the thing is you cannot get stuck here, right? Either play this, right, or go up through this window, but don't get stuck here. This is what you want to avoid. Alright, so you go back up, which is good. Also, for what it's worth, by the way, you can stand on this and if no one's shooting at you or no one knows you're here, right, you're chilling. And then you can get more vertical, even more vertical, right? But like you can definitely stand on this thing right here. Yeah, you're playing very conservatively against the Widow, which I don't really mind, but you're like straight up not shooting. Like you're missing a lot of opportunities to at least like throw your stickies. Alright, going through the window. I like this. I would have liked this a lot earlier though. She was standing still. Kind of awkward mechanical stuff. Careful long range fight. Okay, nice. So you just want to get close to the Widow, right? So you spent you decided that you didn't want to play the long range fight, right? Over here, right? So at this point, you decided that you want to get the close range fight. So if you're going to get the close range fight, how are you going to get it, right? So the easiest way is to come over here, right? Over here, right? As long as it's not Sonic, and you'll know if it's Sonic, generally speaking. And then you wait until like people are going in, right? And then you just go straight up, right? And now you're like one dash like gets you almost on top of them, right? And that's good enough, right? This one's a little bit further away, but it is an option if you know that she's not looking at it, right? So you can sort of just like if she's scoped in on something else, right? Like for example, like say if you have Tracer like hanging out over here, right? And she's scoped in on that, right? Then you can like kind of just like work your way over here, right? And then go straight up, right? And it's almost as good, right? But you want to get closer, and you don't do that from back here, right? That's the problem, right? You don't do that from here. You don't do it from here, right? You want to get close. Hey, got the kill anyways. No, your Mega's here. This is your health pack. Because this involves using fly, right? And then you have to use fly to get to this health pack. You can get shot halfway through, right? You can get shot from here. And then once you get this health pack, you have to use fly to get back. So you just really much rather use this health pack right here. Board. Okay, you're never running back to you. I don't like this. You work so hard to get this space. Right? You spent so long. You spent like a good like almost a minute getting here, right? So once you're here, you gotta hold it, right? You're in a good spot, right? You killed the widow from this spot earlier, right? You just gotta hold your position. Oh, you almost got your head taken off. That means it's Sonic. Careful walking across. Okay. I like this angle. You can end on low ground because again, like this is once your team goes left side, there's nobody here anymore, right? So it becomes very safe. So I don't like this at this point. So you know where the widows are, where the widow is. You just saw her grapple, and you know where Hanzo was because you saw him earlier, and you know there's people over here, right? So so we talked about like so you took this angle last time because you couldn't get shot by the widow on the left side, and you could shoot the people on the bridge, right? But now the situation has changed. These people can now shoot you, right? Every time you try to really peek from here. So as opposed to like so instead of flying back here, I'd much rather like it if you walk through here and took this angle instead, where you can now shoot these people for free. And it's also a little bit closer if you want to fly over here and assassinate the backline, right? And you're just always a threat as well, right? Like if you're hanging out here, you might just like just walk in through here, right? And come in behind them and kill them when they're not ready for it, right? But just generally, like this is your free angle now, right? This is your better free angle, so like you should take it. They can get shot from here, right? They're not looking at you, but they were looking at you, or they could see you. Right? If you look, you can't shoot these people now. And you kind of wish you could, and you could shoot them if you're, right here. Right, and you do come out, but you have to fly out here to do this, right? And you do take this, but like you're really late to the fight, right? You see how your team's been fighting for a while, the Siggles, and like this whole time you could have been shooting them, the entire time, right? And even a bit longer. Right, do you see how nice this is? What is this Ryan supposed to do? Alright, I just want to see you dive at one of these tanks, or one of these snipers now. It doesn't matter which one, just pick one, fly at them, unload all your cooldowns. Yeah, so this is too defensive, right? At this range, especially without stickies, this Widow is massively favored right now. She's being shot at by your Sig, which is helping, right? But you don't really contribute anything right now. Like, your shot is, like, kind of unreliable, whereas if you just walked forward, right? Just, like, flew straight up, right? This is way easier for you to have impact on, right? Like, see, okay, so you missed all your stuff, but again with beam, like with you just kind of want to chill until you know it's going to work, right? Either you hit a lot of stickies, or you predict that you've done like enough damage that the beam will get her like below half relatively quickly. But this is super risky. Also, you've done this a couple times now, where like you fly up after you use your stickies, right? So if you want to go for a kill, right, like try to have your cooldowns ready. It's not always possible, but try. Yeah. Do you see how much easier that is when you're close to the Widow?
That probably hurt. Objective A captured. New defense objective.
Alright, so what I was talking about like last time was like when your team is going left side, I'd like for you to hang out here, right? So this is the same concept as like first point, right? Where if like your team goes left side, you kind of don't want to go left side with them unless you're going to push all the way around, right? So you'd much rather just stay here, and that way you maintain your angle. But this is like the same thing, but even better for you. Where like if you're here, right, you're actually relatively close to them, and you can get pretty close to the sniper without them realizing it, right? If they don't realize that you stayed behind, right? So like you could very easily like walk in from here, not be seen by anything, right? Then you sit here, and then not be seen by anything, and then your team walks in, and they think that like this is their team, your team, right? And the reason why you don't want to go with your team is because there's no follow up to this, right? There's no like last time there was another flank that put you through here, right? That doesn't exist on this map. So when your team goes left side, you don't want to go with them. You kind of just want to hang out here, right? And then when the fight starts, right, like when your team starts getting ready to push, you just walk out, fly up, you get a free kill on the Widow, right? With like right click, left click, beam, whatever you want, right? At least one free kill, maybe two, right? And now you've got their high ground, right? And you've got a great off angle, right? And you got probably an opening kill as well. Obviously, you can't do this every time, right? Sometimes you'll have to mix it up. You might have to like chill out here, right? Then do the same thing, right? When your team's pushing, right? Then you like walk out, right? Then you fly up, right? Or you come from main, right? You just wait here. Your team's pushing, right? No one's looking at main anymore. You walk in through here. Again, this can't really be seen from the spot you're trying to kill anyways, right? And then you get to this point, get to here, fly up, go for the kill, right? Same idea. A lot of different ways to do it. But this is great, right? I just want you to stay here, right? Especially on the first time, right? When like they can't expect it yet. This is also fine, just chilling, waiting for your team to figure out something. You have ult, no need really to poke. Careful with peeking main though. Alright, team's pushing, right? So this is really risky. So this is why is this risky? Because this guy can potentially just take your head off, right? So be really careful with this, right? If you're like, don't fly, just like walk in. And if you walk in, he actually can't see you. Like if you look, right? He actually can't see that path, and if you like get behind there, he doesn't actually know you're there sometimes. Like there was a solid chance of you dying there as well, so be careful with that. You should probably try and copy some of there. I don't know if you were. It looked like you were trying, but it's kind of a mess.
Changing position.
2x speed, please be actually 2x speed. 1x speed, please be actually 1x speed. Alright. Alright, Ryan mechanics could use a bit of work. But so far so like the timing though was fine. Good stickies and a beam combo. Nice.
Ready for battle. Attack.
Oh.
Won't see me come.
Enemies in our orbit.
So we talked about like, oh, you almost got your head taken off. Ooh, getting dicey.
Executing flight maneuvers.
So I understand like you want to help Dan out here, right? Like, and this is fine, right? But you need a call if like you can't go for Widow, right? So Widow is like here, right? And you need to make very like clear that like you can't get Widow, right? Because if you're not getting Widow, right, then someone else needs to, right? And at this point, you can still actually turn around and get the Widow if you get some help, right? Just be like, hey, Thunder or whoever the case is, whoever's playing Sig here, or whoever's playing off tank, if we have a D.Va, or really like if we have D.Va, Hog is still okay for this. Zarya maybe not so much; it's a little bit harder. But if you have Zarya, you want her to bubble you as you go in, so like it's still the same idea. You want to talk to your off tank as you're about to go in, right? When you go in, right, you just turn around, and even without stickies, you can probably kill the Widow with some help, right? Especially if she's not expecting it. So you can use the remainder of your fly, for example, just land on this thing, right, and then just drop on her, and she'll probably die. Or she might grapple up to you and you just kill her, right? But if you're not going to do this, right, you need to make very clear to your team that you're not going for it, that you're not going for Widow, right? Like as far as poke goes, this is pretty good. Like you're having a pretty good time, but the problem is these people are not having a very good time, right? So like again, like if you're not going to do this, make sure someone else is doing it, or make sure someone's doing it. Again, careful with your angles, right? You want to play short angles that are close. And also, again, you've had a lot of time now to just, like, not care about what's going on here anymore, right? So, at this point, like, where are you? Yeah. Like, at this point, like, you don't actually have to deal with this anymore. So, instead of using fly here, I would just, like, jump on this thing, right? And then just start drifting down, right? And then just use your fly, get above the Widow, and just go for her, right? And that way, like, it frees these people up to do stuff. So, even though, right, you're taking yourself out of the fight to fight a Widow, you take the Widow out of the fight, and that means you reactivate 3 members of your team, essentially, right? So you bring 3 of your teammates back from the dead. Realistically, I also think that like Owen or like Thunder could have just like gone and killed the Widow, right? While like you were doing all this stuff. But like if in the absence of that, if no one's on the Widow, again, make it your like take agency of it. Like make sure at the very least someone's on the Widow. If it's not, if it can't be anyone else, make sure it's you at the very least, right? Again, you don't even have to kill her. You just need to keep her busy. If you kill her, even better, right? But you just have to keep her busy. But this is like, you're just giving yourself to the Widow now. And also, again, when you want to snipe, right? When you want to snipe, we push up close angle, so we're right on top of them. But then we unload, beam, and then if we need to, we back out, right?
Finishing them off. increased. Taking off.
That's Widow. Alright, just gonna back here, that's fine. I like the fact that you hold this spot. It's just really strong in general. Also puts you relatively close to their back wall when they try to walk in. It's really good. Again, your priority is the Widow. I know they're walking underneath you, but like the first thing that should happen when they're ulting is you turn around and look to see if the Widow's coming up. And the Widow's coming up, you just kill her, right? And if like she does not coming up, that means she's gonna be low ground. So then that's when you come out here and you peek and you look for her, right? Because chances are, if the ults are coming in, she's like either sitting here or over here or like up here or something, and you just like look for her and you hunt her down, right? You just go kill her, right? Because while this play is going on, like what are the ways that can stop you from killing someone, right? The Lucio can potentially boop you, the Ana can heal the person who's like attacked, right? The Diva can like DM them, right? But what are all these people doing right now, right? Diva just threw a bomb and has no mech, right? Lucio is like trying to deal with Tracer and protect her Ana, right? Ana is trying to nade herself, or trying to nade Gabe, it looks like, trying to save herself, and Hanzo almost died, right? So like everybody's turning around trying to deal with diving, right? And while that's going on, Widow has no help whatsoever. So whenever this happens, the first priority is where's Widow, and then you try and find her and kill her, right? Turns out she's right next to you. That's she actually almost jumped into it. Yeah. But but instead of you getting the jump on the Widow got the jump on you, and that's something that you just shouldn't allow, right? Just wait. Yep. Okay. You see the Widow, right? It's good, right? Really good really good use of cover, by the way. Really good use of cover. And then you like try to LOS her with this as well, and then you got to try to get to her. That was really good. And then she just panicked and left. Didn't panic, but like, you know, she got scared off. That was really good. You did your job there. I mean, you didn't do a whole lot, right? But you kept the Widow busy a bit at the start. Not the most efficiently, but you kept her busy. And then on the retake, you prioritized the Widow. That was really good. Alright, you gotta be a little bit more controlled there, right? So, you know the Widow's there. You know, like, when she grapples up, when she takes her shot, she's not even looking at you. So at that point, that's the most ideal time. Just swing, right? Take your free right click because she's not gonna be moving, right? And then just blow her up, right? Look how easy that is, right? Just make it simple. Like when you peek, right? Just make sure you hit all your stickies. Don't fall off the edge. That was a good beam attempt. Aim was a little shaky, but it worked out. This is also a good spot to hold his Echo. Why it's a good spot is because this is the Widow spot, right? This and that of that Widow spot, you control both of them relatively easily from here. So like, the Widow goes up here, she's greeted with an Echo Surprise, which goes up here, she's greeted with an Echo Surprise, right? So this is not that bad. It still gives you a lot of same control. Just need to watch out for the team like walking out this way and pushing you out, right? But overall, like, another good spot. Although, don't drop. Alright, this is also good, right? Just careful of peeking without fly. Alright, so they're all pushing that side, right? So, right, and we also know they swapped off Widow, so you don't have to worry about this anymore, right? At this point, you can just like fly over here and just get like really aggressive on the side ground because there's no one who can really push you. Besides like the Diva. And you can just drift down here and have fly to get out, right? So. Yeah, so you sort of wait for them to come to you, right? And you play a range where you have no cover, right? So when you play up close to them, it's easier to land your shots and your stickies, right? And then on top of that, if you get pressured, right, you have the ability to just drop down, grab mini, and then fly over them again if they push around the corner, right? So like in order to get to you, right? Like in order to shoot you, they're like, shoot, and then you run down, like you're like, oh no, I'm being pressured, and you drop down, and grab the mini. And in order to chase you, like they have to run around this corner, right? And then you just fly back over the wall, and like you're golden, right? You get like you fly over, right? You drift over here, right? And now you're on this side of the cover wall, and you're really safe, right? And you can get help in that time, and you occupy a lot of attention. If they ignore you, you just kill them, right? So, this is why I'm not too big of a fan of staying here. Once you realize that like the entire fight is moved in this direction, right? Like you gotta be a bit reactive. I know the spot's normally good to hold, but there's no one there's no widow, there's no one who can use this side of the map anymore. Then you having control of it doesn't really matter anymore, right? You've already secured the control. They can't use it. You've done your job. Go do something else, right? Which is like pressure more directly. But that forces out a really bad ult. And against this comp, you pretty much always want to copy one of these tanks. Diva and Ball are both very good copies against this comp, and everyone else not so much. But yeah, so it forces a bad copy in the middle of them. You just immediately get blown up, and it's very awkward.
Reversing personality model.
Alright, reset your position. Like they already backed up. Go take your high ground again. Yep. No, stay up there. Okay, so also when they don't have a widow, you can peek more aggressively, more liberally, and just go for more spam damage, right? And if they try to push you off, like just like do your best to live. You'll get harming pocket for most of it, right? And try not to get pushed off too hard. Because the only person who can contest you now is Diva, and Diva does not actually have a good matchup against Echo. Be careful not to get shot to death by McCree or Hanzo though while you're doing this, but like you can afford to peek more aggressively than what you're doing. Now that they don't have Widow.
Taking off.
Like the old dynamic, right, was like you had to stay up there and not peek because you're scared of the Widow, but you need to stop the Widow from using that spot, right? But now the dynamic has changed in that now you're the really scary threat, and they need to stop you from using that spot, right? So you need to abuse that spot and make them stop you, right? Uh-oh. Awkward. Oh no. Feels bad. Yeah, you can't go through this. Very awkward.
Regeneration complete. Switching back to combat mode.
Have some patience.
Focus them.
Alright. Gave up. Stagger her, and run away. Don't stand there. Okay. This is how people die to baby divas during staggers. Is like you just stand here like, oh, she can't kill me. It's like, no, just keep running. Just run away from her, right? No, don't just stand there and look at her and not kill her. You need to run away from her, cause otherwise she's going to try and kill you, right? Yeah. And you almost died. Whew. Getting close. Like, why is Vic? Like for example, same thing with Vic. Why did Vic walk over here to look at the diva, right? He doesn't have to, right? And like, Vic loses a bunch of armor, and then he feels obligated to kill her before he dies, right? Like once you demech her and you're trying to stagger, just run away, right? Hey Matt, going. Nice sloth emote.
Boosting up.
Alright, probably last fight. I think this is also just last fight in general, but hopefully. If it's not, like, I'll just end it there anyways. Again, careful with this, right? So we hide here, because if someone comes up here, we need cover, right? But if they're coming down here, we need to make sure that while we're doing this, while we're spamming, we put this platform between us and the enemy, right? And this pillar. That's what will keep us safe, right? Because from here, we're actually very exposed, right?
Changing position.
Alright, make sure you take an angle here, right? So you came out of spawn, right? That's whatever. At this point, I really want to see you get to this part of the map, so that way you can provide a crossfire in the choke, right? And if you happen to kill the Lucy on the way, even better, right? Like, this is way too defensive positioning, right? You need to be, like, way out here, right? Because, like, I mean, what's going to stop you, right? They're all here, right? What are they going to do? Right, so this angle, right, lets you shoot them, yes, but it also gets you shot, right? And you, at this range, again, like, snipers, hit scans, like, you're not favored at this range. You want to play over here, or in order to peek you, they have to ignore the entire rest of your team, right, in order to shoot you. And that gets them killed, right? Like, you almost died to the high noon. We got very sketch. And now you're going over here for, like, a deep flank when you don't have to, right? Like, make sure you get vertical, right, and then just land where you need to go, right? If you need to, like, if you feel like you need to walk in like this, like, you can, but, like, just, it's very awkward. I know the call here was that they're super low, so.
60 seconds. Boosting in.
She's won. Wow. Just gave up. Alright, take the high ground. Nice. Again, you can just chill here, camp here. Oh no, you missed it again. Alright. Alright, so if you do land on this, this is your next best option, right? At least it's still higher ground than like low ground. So if you land on this by accident, right, or rather if you miss this, just land here next. So that way it's a bit easier to land up here next time, right?
Repairing internal circuitry. Lifting off.
Yeah, you're just having a big issue like finding an angle right now. You're always in the middle of stuff. Like you're just main now, right? You're main. Like you're not here, right? You're not here. You're not here, right? You just can't pick a spot and you're just getting run down now. Yeah. You didn't even get your copy off.
Going free. Adaptive circuits engaged. McCree.
Alright, this aim is a little awkward. But hey, it's a threat of the copy that count. Oh, nice headshot. I take it all back. Alright, oh god, it's all white. Alright. Yeah, so overall, a lot of improvement I've seen in your Echo over the last couple weeks, which is really cool. So the big points for you are, when you, your spam stickies, you're much better about like using your stickies on cooldown than you used to be. But when you do get like a guaranteed stickies, like make sure you hit that, right? If you get a look at a Widow when she's not looking at you or she's standing still or something, make sure you hit those stickies, right? Because like, I mean, it's so much guaranteed value hitting them, right? Also, like again, when you're against like snipers and hit scans in general, right? You don't want to like play long ranges, and you want to figure out ways that let you get close to them, right? Once you get close to them, you just blow them up, right? And of course, try and time what you're doing with what your team's doing, so that way they're at least moderately distracted, right? Also, like again, like remember to set up angles, right? And like on like last point on the Anubis, or sorry, last point on that map, right? When they were pushing into your team, right? You just kind of sat there with your team instead of like pushing way out and abusing the fact that you have a lot of vertical mobility, and you just sit on their side and just shoot them on the free, right? Yeah, and likewise when they were like pushing the left side, right? Instead of like drifting down and meeting there, right? You kind of just sat on your pre-designated spot, right? So a bit more like active like processing of like positioning during the fight itself. I know it can be difficult because there's a lot of other stuff to worry about, but that's really what sets you up for success, right? Is getting that right first, and then from there you can work on mechanics. Yeah. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please let me know. And if you get to this part of the video, DM me what 9 + 0 equals.